hear me? Okay. Yeah, so we are the last presentation before partying. Woo! Thanks to everyone who's stuck around. I promise we will make this worth your time. So, yeah, creative that converts, turning mobile content into revenue. That is why we are here. Quick about myself before we introduce everyone in the panel. My name is Nicole Weiss. You're like, what is Brassfinch? Never heard of that. It's my marketing firm that I recently started. So most of you who do know me, though, probably know me from my years at Audible, Macy's, SiriusXM, launching the People app, things like that. Now I'm out on my own, and I'm hosting this awesome panel filled with amazing people. So, hi again, welcome. Where do we start? Creative, right? We all know creative is important. It's not going anywhere, right? It is that thing that when people know your brand, don't know your brand, it's what gets them to stop, download, install, convert, right? So this is a topic that has always been important. It will always be important. So hence, panel. So yeah, at the end of the day, though, that goal hasn't changed, but the mechanisms by which we are creating creative definitely has. How we're serving it, what does that mean? So we are looking to explore that when we're talking about things like perfect, creative that someone labors over for hours and days and weeks versus rapid AI automation. What does this mean? How do they intersect? How do they work together? So today, those hot topics that we're going to be talking about as we see creative in 2026 is how do we maintain that human touch in an era of endless AI creative? So, we talk about a lot of AI noise these days. What does that mean within the creative space? The ugly ad debate. So very excited for this one. What the data says about polished versus lo-fi content. How to spot the exact signals that your creative has peaked. The 80-20 rule, so why most creative fails and how to differentiate that with the tools or the people that you have today, and why platform-specific DNA still beats a one-size-fits-all. So before we start jumping in, I'm going to let all the panelists introduce themselves. And when they introduce themselves, I also want to, because we want to make this a little bit fun, right? This is an app conference. I want to know what app you opened this morning. What was that first thing and why? And I realized I should probably go first. So today, because I knew I was going to be here all day, it was really important for me to keep my streak alive. So I made sure that the first thing I opened was New York Times so I could play my Wordle. So that was not originally planned, but that is my app. Daniel?
I'm probably a little more lame. I think Gmail was my first app that I opened. Wordle's an end of the night thing for me. So before I dive into my intro, though, I thought Barry would be the Huberman of apps, just based on the beard.
I think that's what I thought that I was. I think that's what he said.
Oh, I thought that was Ivan.
Oh no,
no. Either way, I'm Daniel. I lead tech and apps at TikTok. My team works with apps directly on their paid strategy on platform. I'm very excited to be here and talk to you guys all about creative.
Hey, I'm Barry Hott, longtime Facebook ad nerd. I have spent over $1 billion on Facebook ads for a pretty wide variety of brands, from AT&T, Toyota, Kraft, to the smaller things like Harry's, and tons of really tiny stuff that you would never know or care about ever. And now I own a part of a creative agency called AdCrate. I'm building a very neat SaaS tool called URL Love It, that takes screenshots of your websites and anything that matters to your business. And I do other consulting and lots of stuff in the space, and you can find me on X and LinkedIn, and that is actually where I was first thing this morning, unfortunately. The first thing I very sadly do every morning is go on X and see if anyone responded to my tweets from the night before. And then the other very unhealthy habit I do, if it's not that, is Slack. So one or the other, very unhealthy habit that I roll out of bed and So a very stressful start to my day.
That sounds like it. Ivan?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan. I'm CMO at Simple.life. We are a weight loss app, 160 millions in IRR So we are scaling as much as we can. And I'm fully in charge of marketing there, and it's mostly performance marketing. And my first app was Slack, actually. I want to say that something like meditate or something, but no.
Hi, everyone. My name is Seva. I'm the founder of Pluto AI. I've been in performance marketing for like 20 years. Built an agency, then a data platform, now AI agents. We manage over $100 million in ad spend annually, and that number is growing like crazy. Then the first thing in the morning I opened actually was a chat with my OpenClaw AI assistant, doing like a sleep review and morning brief, so I don't have to check that manually.
Awesome. And I think, Seva, did you have one more thing? Oh, I was told you had one more thing.
Not really.
There's something about questions and a prize? No? Okay.
I decided to skip that part.
Oh,
But,
okay, never mind, everyone. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so scratch that off my notes. But we are going to ask questions. We're going to have Q&A, so please start preparing them. All right, so kicking things off, creative. So pre-social era, so before TikTok over here, before Meta, creative was highly polished. Right? Like nothing went out the door without a million eyes looking on it. You didn't worry about it. Now, something happens in the world and everyone is rushing, picking up their phones, and they're getting creative out and they're responding to people within minutes. So, definitely what we see and what people interact with has changed quite a bit. So when we think of polished versus scrappy, what does that performance, I think, actually say? And on that note, I'm going to kick this one over first to Daniel.
Yeah, so I think it's important to separate the conversation of polish versus good and bad creative. Polish, I think creative in general, we are leaning way more in a space of quicker and faster. That doesn't necessarily mean that creative needs to be bad quality, but it doesn't need to be in 4K and it doesn't need to be extremely well produced. Speed is really the key. Now, within that though, the real critical part is the messaging and what your creative actually says or what it's actually delivering to the user. I think one thing that we will talk about later today or later in the session is that with the speed, you're able to test and iterate more. And I think with that piece of lacking the polish, you're actually able to move faster and understand what's working and resonating with your clients much quicker.
I think that's really a great way of thinking about it. When I think about, as a marketer, just what are some of the campaigns that have stuck with me over time, one of my absolute favorites is always, I think it still will be Oreo's Dunk in the Dark. And that's just something, right, like no one could predict that the lights at the Super Bowl were going to go out, and they jumped right on that. And I think this is like a really great example. And I know, Barry, we talked about, you had some really great, even personal, ugly ad stories. I would love to hear what you're thinking on this topic.
Yeah, no, I think you made some incredible points. I think in addition to speed is definitely an important part, but authenticity is really, to me, the key. Making content that is genuine, authentic, that's what often wins. That's the content that people are consuming. That's the content that is scaling. So, usually what I'm telling people is if you want to make great ads for any ad platform, you want to be looking at what are people consuming broadly on that platform. What are the micro trends? What are the macro trends? I don't really want you making tons of like micro trend stuff. Like, what's the thing that's hot today? I want you looking at those micro trends to find the macro trends of those so you can understand camera angles, lighting, pacing, storytelling, anything that you can do to make things look and feel more like they belong on the platform. That way you can make your ads get past people's subconscious ad blockers. No one wants to see your ads. Sorry. No one wants to see your ads at all, especially the pretty baloney stuff that you guys spend hours or days or weeks making with 30 people that have to get involved. So speed helps get rid of a lot of that stuff, eliminates a lot of that, and it allows and encourages for more authenticity. So there's a kind of combination there where I try to get people to be like, how do you let someone just understand the rules and let them play? that's why like I'm actually in ads. Like I put myself in ads. I originally did it just to like try something to be like, hey, to tell like a founder or tell a brand like, hey, send this video to the actor and have the actor do this. And then we ran it and my version beat the actor or beat the founder's version anyway. So now I put myself in ads for years now because it can work. Maybe it's because I'm the most beautiful man in the world. Who knows? But with a very small ego as well.
So small.
Yeah, right. So the real key is speed, authenticity, and make stuff that looks and feels like it belongs on the platform where you're advertising it.
Yeah, I think Seva, you.
I actually, just 30 minutes ago, I was preparing for the panel, and so like, why am I skipping this question? I actually I asked my agent to go connect to the agents of each of our clients and run this analysis, like which type of creatives, like studio nice ads versus the ugly or UGC style. And it turns out, like, in almost every case, low-key creatives wins, like by a huge margin, like by tens of percents, except for fintech sector.
So I guess Ivan, you might be hiring Barry based on what he's saying, but what do you think? And having scaled your own app, where are you within this conversation?
Yeah, so I definitely agreed with the Barry. So as much your ad do not look like ad, it's better convert. And of course, it depends on your goal. Like I'm not talking about some kind of advertisement for connected TV. I'm talking about like social media, for instance, and performance marketing. So in this case, you still should think about proper structure, but it doesn't need to be visually polishing, because in this case, people just like skip it and start searching for some other content that are like really interested for them. So at some point, we decide to turn user stories into our advertisement, and this is something that actually works really well. And when AI comes, we actually start building hooks with the AI and still using these testimonials as a body and like main sales points, because these users who are actually getting value from your app, they are your personas that your advertisement are building for. So, and their language, their pain points are most useful and valuable for your advertisement.
Yeah, I think being able to leverage user, reviews or content is always a win. Like if that's something that your brand has access to, and there's a lot of times, depending on what your content is, legalities around it, but when you have that opportunity, that's a great point. Like that's where you see huge wins, because there's a lot of inherent trust in having reviews from your peers versus a brand telling you like, well, this is why our app or product is awesome. Like they want to hear it from other people. I think, Barry, you touched on something which is really important, was I think just around like design fundamentals. Like it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you do it, right? There's like just that inherent, like you have to have basic 101. And when you think about your top performing ads, other than like, they're still designed well no matter how quick, is there anything in common that you tend to see, like a repeatable pattern, anything or important things for winners that make them different?
Yeah, I love that question. So I just want to make sure I also say something. I usually wear a hat that says "Make Ugly Ads." I'm wearing my Just Make Ads one today because I wanted you all to just make ads. But the thing we're talking about like lo-fi ads, uglier ads, the way I say that when I say make ugly ads, I don't mean go make the ugliest ad that you can. Please don't do that. What I mean is, can I just quick show of hands? How many of you are marketers? Okay, yeah. If you studied marketing, if you grew up looking at fancy ads and watching TV ads and anything you've learned historically about design, marketing, anything like that, that's the stuff I want you to throw away when I say make ugly ads. I was a professional photographer before I became an advertiser marketer when I was very young, and I know how to compose a shot. When I'm going to go shoot something for social, I kind of take that and think like, okay, how would I shoot that? Okay, Don't do that. And instead, what I'm going to go do is shoot it in the way that content creators shoot. Shoot in the way that is the stuff that, so sometimes you'll find, like, I will shoot with the camera below my face, which is something I would never do if I was trying to make a nice shot. I would put it lower, and that way the canned lighting above me or behind me in my house shows, and it creates a glare in the lens. Stuff like that is literally the margins. That's the battlefield that I'm playing on. So when I talk about design, you want to talk about a simple thing that wins? Text overlays that are done in a native style that does not look like your brand. It looks like the stuff that people are scrolling by. I'm not saying make it super ugly, but make it look like it's actually something that people would normally want to consume, not something that your CEO or your chief creative officer or head of design wants to see. Get out of that stuff and get into what does your audience want to see, and text style, and more importantly, to your point, the content of the text is what really matters. If you can cut to the core of people, you can cut to the core of your most relevant audience immediately with the first word, the second word, third word, literally these are the margins these are the battlefields we're playing on. You have to get relevant text or a relevant setting communicated immediately. That's what I see win very consistently.
That's awesome. In 2026, and I would say probably, starting 2025, 2024 late, targeting and bidding have really just largely been handled by the platform algorithms at this point. That means creative is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting than ever. How does that change this is this great conversation, is what is good creative? How much does that impact what that really means? And I think, Daniel, you're probably positioned in a great place to be able to answer that from the platform side. What are your thoughts? Like, how much is that changing?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Barry said really resonates, but one of the things that I see consistently is the best advertisers are really thinking about what part of the funnel are they trying to address. But one thing that's consistent across advertisers is the quantity of creative. So they're generally not trying to go to market with 1, 2, or 3 pieces of creative. They're trying to go to market with 10 to 20 pieces of effective creative. You might have 30, 40 pieces, but what's actually truly effective is really critical. The other piece is how well do you know who you're actually trying to target and work backwards from them. So what's the message that's going to resonate with them, and understanding the right hook, the messaging, and call to action that's actually going to drive action on behalf of those users. And then kind of going back to my first point about like what part of the funnel are you trying to address is trying to drive some brand consideration. I think more than ever today, the space is super crowded, and it's not just crowded in the app space, it's crowded in every single space that we're in. And people aren't making purchasing decisions the first time they see an ad. They're generally doing it the third, fourth, fifth time they're seeing it. And so this notion of consideration that you need to drive is super critical, because ideally what you're doing is growing that consideration bucket over time. And at some point, those users will convert because they're getting to a point where they understand the value and what your product is trying to solve for their pain that they're experiencing on a regular basis. And I think those are really the critical pieces that if you can drive those within creative and answer those questions while still being authentic and engaging. And one of the things that we say at TikTok is stop the scroll. So we're generally scrolling on our apps, but like, how do you actually stop the scroll with something that's interesting? If you're able to do that, the algorithm actually works on your behalf because we're showing things that are interesting very regularly, and that's actually how we get attention on platform.
Yeah, I think stopping the scroll is one of the things, like as a marketer, when I'm working with especially new brands and trying to work through what should the creative look like, that's the number one thing. I'm like, we must stop the scroll, and not even just talking about TikTok. I think that applies to every platform that's out there these days. Your attention is just spread everywhere. So that is, I think, a really great line. If you take anything away from this, if you're not thinking in terms of stopping the scroll, 100%, that should be that mindset. Like, what's going to get people to pause and pay attention to your product? I think on the platform side, we know that things are becoming more automated, and now brands of all sizes are turning to AI. So Seva, this is really going to be a question very much in your wheelhouse, but AI agents are starting to automate the creative production, iteration, and optimization end to end. And I know there was a really great panel this morning on AI, but we're really now talking specifically with that creative lens. Where are you sort of like, what do you think this does for human judgment? What like remains, irreplaceable, and what, is AI able to now do instead of humans?
So I really want human marketers to connect with their users, to use empathy, to really understand like what they need, what drives their behavior, how to like provide more value to them. But what I see a lot of marketers and media buyers do today is they like spend several hours a day just looking at numbers and changing something on ad platforms. Like that's not what humans should do today. Like the previous generation of automation, they promised to solve that problem, but only solved like half of it, like simple cases, just using platform data. And like that stops a lot of teams to experiment more with that. But actually, like a lot of things changed like basically in the last like 4 months. You can actually send your agents to do a research for you to check which kinds of like creatives and targeting combination works better, like I did like 30 minutes ago, to do a daily overview of what's going on with your ads across hundreds or thousands of ads and creatives and highlight like next actions or perform those actions for you. And that's just an easy stuff, just replacing your manual workflows with automated AI and automated workflows. But once you do that, then like the whole new world opens to you. Like you can send your agents to do backtests and analyze which specific signals works best for your account, for your product, to start scaling best creatives faster, to start killing non-performing creatives faster. Instead of spending like $50, $100, $300 on test, you can like get away with like 25. And on top of that, like the AI is truly intelligent. You can ask it to like, hey, build an ML model that will find the perfect combination of signals for my specific case. Mm-hmm. And like this is the technology that works today. And I'm not even talking about like what's coming soon.
Yeah, that could be a huge cost savings for brands. So it's a time-saving cost savings, and then it allows you to, I think, be more strategic and think broader. And Ivan, I would love to hear how you've applied this to Simple.
Yeah, so our bottleneck was the workforce. So actually, we should have a lot of people in creative production team and user acquisition team. And then we start building automation, not some kind of fancy LLM stuff, just like normal scripts that help us behave. Then AI, generative AI comes. And this completely changed creative production. And firstly, we start with the idea that current models can actually help us building scripts, help us analyze the data, what is work, what is not, and then building new concepts. But turns out that, unfortunately, it not works this way still. But I believe this is something that should happen in next year or 6 months or like early future. But anyway, we decide to shift our approach and start building tools for our team. And right now we automate some day-to-day operations like check the campaigns, turn off the campaigns, copy campaigns, different bidding stuff, as well as building AI pipelines for creative production, like different types of hooks and some help with the resizes and so on. So AI in the Simple, it's like mostly about tooling right now, but agents are coming. So I believe that it will help us to scale user acquisition without scaling workforce in next year, definitely.
Thank you. It's so interesting. And Seva, I want to go back to something you were talking about when I love the idea of like killing something faster, being more efficient. And we know right now that there's just large quantities of creative going out there, and creative fatigue is a real thing on the individual, on the brand level. I would love to hear, how do you detect that now? Like, what's that process? How are you helping reduce that? Again, part of, I think, that broader like costs, where we should be focusing. Love for you to expand on that.
Okay, specifically on creative fatigue. First, just to highlight, your best creatives, you can relaunch them like up to 30 times, and it will work again and again and again. Even if this specific ads starts to show signs of fatigue, you can relaunch it with different targeting, different audience, or even exactly the same one. So it's two different things, like optimizing specific ads versus optimizing the creative life cycle itself. So just to differentiate those two. And then actual signals, like the simplest version you can build is just compare CPM, CTR, and cost per micro conversion versus 3-day moving average, 7-day moving average. That's like the easiest stuff. The next level is to actually calculate expected value, especially when you have delayed conversions, like from trials or from leads. Then like the creatives can start to burn out, but still be profitable for you. So you need to like find the right moment to do that. The next step is to, and this is where agents like actually start helping, is to do backtesting and find which were the like right signals on your data set over like previous 6 months across hundreds or thousands of creatives, which combination actually forecasts that it's the true burnout versus like a minor flip and you should just ignore it. And the last one, like, because it's a problem, like when you look at the data, it's just like, okay, this creative like dropped like by 30%.
Things.
What should I do? Like, if you stop it and it's still a winning creative, it could generate like a $10,000 more in revenue in the next like week. So it's kind of like we're like marketers a little bit lose their trust in the predictability of the universe. And AI agents that run ML models can actually like help return at least some of that and reduce both types of errors when you turn it too fast or when you turn it off to like delay the decision. So this is how we approach it. This is how I would recommend to approach it, from simple things to like manual rules but more complicated, and then to adjusted rules to your case, and then ML models.
Interesting. So I think one of the things I love about conferences like this and panels is not everyone has the same approach or the same opinion. So I think I'm going to first kick this one over. He's chuckling already, so you know it's going to Barry.
Fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I love this topic. I've been doing, just like you, I've been doing ad buying for a long time. I've been doing Facebook ads since 2008. Back when there were only right column ads, you couldn't optimize for conversions. It was not the same planet we're on now. I think there's two ways of thinking about AI and specifically advertising on Meta. I would argue on TikTok as well, similarly. Maybe there's three ways. There's a very manual way, which I think we'd both agree is pretty silly. Very manual media buying. Then there's this automated media buying, having agents doing a lot of it, trying to do a lot of targeting, a lot of flipping switches, doing lots of stuff. And then there's also a world in which if you set up Meta's system to get what you want, you set it to optimize for your actual goals, and you give it good data, and you get out of the way, Meta's advanced machine learning AI, I personally believe, can do all of that for you. So if you can set it in a way that you don't have to ever turn an ad off. If you set your goal, you let Meta's ad system understand what you're trying to do. If an ad fatigues, the spend will slow. If an ad is doing really well and it finds an audience, it will spend more. It's magic. You don't have to go in and flip ads off because the CPA is bad, because the CPMs are bad, because the CPCs are bad, because the CTRs are bad, because the CVRs are bad. All of those are symptoms, not actual problems. They're indicators. So, I think that having agents that are doing those things, it's great, and a lot of people really like that. I've had a lot of clients who really don't like how little work I do in an ad account because I'm like, Meta's doing it. They don't like that. They want to see me doing stuff. They're like, I'm paying you, do something. And, my clients now are the ones who are paying me to not do something because I know what needs to not be messed with. So there's different ways to look at it. I think that there is a weird AI race there in terms of what tools can better optimize Meta's or any ad platform's performance versus the platforms themselves. And then the question has to come between those two, who is more incentivized? Are these external AI platforms more incentivized to win that battle, or does Meta stand to win the most from that? And generally, Meta or TikTok or Snapchat or Reddit, whatever you want to talk about, they win when you win, generally, or at least when it looks like you're winning. That's a whole attribution thing I don't want to get into right now. We could talk about that for an hour. But generally, they want you to be doing well so that you spend more money, and then they make more money. So that's what I think we're all up against. Set the system up right to get what you want so that it takes care of you, and then you thusly take care of it. And to your point about empathy, I'm all about empathy for consumers that are consuming my content and empathy for the platform that I'm on, trying to figure out how does it work, why does it work, how do they win, and thusly how do I win, and then how do they win, and then how do I win? It's a virtuous cycle.
I just want to point out, Adaptee Funnel Fox, we have a topic for next year, attribution.
Whole day.
A whole day just on attribution.
Oh, Attribution Con. I will host an Attribution Conference.
There we go.
So
there's our next who wants to sign up. We're going to launch Attribution Con. Okay. So I guess we're going to kick back over to TikTok and how things are unfolding for this topic there. Do you notice, Daniel, like how teams are actually using AI in creative workflows today, and what the difference is between teams that are using it to go faster versus teams using it to get better results?
So I want to break up the usage of AI into like 3 different buckets. There's optimization. The idea of optimization is changing resolution, maybe clearing a background, brightening the image. That's minor optimizations that you can make using AI. There's the lightweight generation, which might be changing a soundtrack, replacing some sort of image that's in the video or the photo. This is a little bit more moderate and takes a little bit of a higher skill level, I would say. Maybe skill is not the right word, but it takes a little bit more nuanced attention to detail. And then there's the net new generation, which is where you're taking like a website or an image and saying, go make me a video based off of this. That is where I think we are really moving towards, and the technology is getting better. It's been pretty good for the last couple years, but it's getting better and better. Now, where people are starting to use this within their processes and how you actually break it up is understanding what works good for what your team does today. And so a lot of teams have in-house creative, they paying agencies to create creative. So maybe they only need to play around with the first 2 buckets, but it kind of goes back to Katerina's talk about testing different pieces of the paywall. Now, what you want to do with AI is generate a bunch of different creatives faster, and what AI helps you do is do it quicker, but also makes it more accessible to everyone. You no longer need a photo or a video editor to do the light generation or optimizations. Pretty much anyone can do it. And so you get now one piece of creative that now is morphed into 10, 20 pieces, and all of a sudden you're able to test and see which one of those 10 to 20 pieces are actually the best performing ones for your campaigns. And then kind of to Barry's point, all the platforms nowadays have these built-in tools that allow you to actually see what's working well. And so if you're able to feed the 10 to 20 creatives into the system, they're going to pick the best winning one for you. But instead of having to go back to the studio or back to your editor to say, like, cut this up 10 different times, you're able to use AI to do that for you in a really relatively quick turnaround. And I think that's where a lot of people are seeing success in actual metrics and output at the end of the day. I think we're right around the corner of a lot of brands, even more legacy brands, utilizing that lightweight net new generation that is starting to become really powerful. But where everyone can start playing around today is that optimization and lightweight generation that actually allows you to create more variations much quicker. And I think that is where we're actually seeing the needle being moved really significantly today among successful advertisers.
That's interesting. So we've been talking a lot about tools and speed, and I think that actually can come maybe even at a cost. There's I, in fact, just learned this number. I thought it was super sobering. The 80-20 rule for paid media, that even with this amazing tech and amazing talented creative people, that about 80% of paid does not convert. I was actually really shocked, probably because I tend to be more on the organic side. But I would like to hear, I think, Seva, I feel like this is a great question for you. What is actually broken in the ways that teams are building right now that this 80-20 rule is existing?
First of all, I think that the numbers are even worse. Like across our data set, like 80% of creatives never generate a single sign-up. Another 15% never generate any meaningful revenue, and half of the rest never generate significant profits. So like the success rate in terms of like high revenue, high profit creatives is like 2%, 3% overall. And it's not getting better, and it's not, they're like, people generate even more creatives, so the success rate goes down. And like that becomes a problem in itself. When you run so much stuff, you just cannot do that without like some kind of automation or AI or something. So either you want it or not, you have to figure out that part somehow. And then you can move to like more strategic level, deeper insights, better understanding of your users, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that I'm sitting on a panel and I'm learning something completely new about this space. Ivan, how do you make sure that when your brand is creating, to sell your app, that you're not contributing to this and that you are really focusing on, I guess what we're saying is what, like 10% winning creatives, really?
Yeah, well, first of all, success rate are even small, so it's about 2%,
Oh, 2.
maybe.
Okay.
But we actually decide to solve it on the strategy level. So we have a few types of ideation or exploration. So basically, the best thing that you can do, you just grab your top performing creatives and do the same. So, but we're doing about 70% reworks on top performers. Then we have market, and market also testing some creatives, and it's a good way to adapt these ideas to your product and test them. Then your creative testing success rate will go down because these ideas are much more far from what you actually should create. So, and then you have completely new ideas. Let's decide that it's R&D, and in such loop, you will have a really, really small creative testing success rate. So basically, during period of time, let's imagine that you should spend 1 million per month, and you're like, okay, to spend 1 million per month, look at my historical data, I should create these numbers of top performers that like get this spend. And then you can figure out actually how much reworks of top performers you should try to create, how much creatives from the market you should adopt, and do you have opportunity to create something new or not, depends on your success rates. And you cannot do only reworks of top performers or just adapting creative from the market, because creative fatigue, this is the thing that touch not only exact creatives, but also concepts. And right now, because of the AI, you build some kind of creative that works, and then at the end of the day, your competitor probably run the same. So actually, time to market, if before we copy creatives in 3 days or a week, so right now it's hours. Because you fully reproduce it with the AI, it's not more the stop factor. So the race are speed up, and this is how we balance this thing. Thank you.
So interesting, and the fact that I think you're thinking about it in terms of, like you said, it's no longer months or weeks or days, now it's hours, because you're essentially keeping up with the Joneses, who are your competitors. They're competing against you and iterating. Definitely something to think about. So we're about to go into the Q&A session, but before that, I want to go and we'll just, go down the line. I want to leave it with one last question for everybody to answer. What's the one creative insight or principle that has had the biggest impact on your results? So something like that one nugget for everyone to take away in this room.
I think it's the three things that, do you know who you're actually trying to go speak to? Are you solving the pain or the need that they have? And are you actually entertaining and driving authenticity through that? If you're able to answer those three things, you have a creative recipe that's generally going to work pretty well.
I'd say, humanizing, especially for apps, it's not really about your product, it's not about your app necessarily. So what's the human component of it? What's the problem you're solving? What's the emotion that relates to that? Figure out how to show that quickly. And really, I know this is so broad, but relevance. You have to understand broad relevance, but also specific relevance, and that you can find scale through both. So again, real quick show of hands here. Who's a marketer, right? Marketers, okay? Keep your hands up for a second. I want to. All of your hands are going to drop, I think. How many of you are fans of the TV show I Think You Should Leave? Anyone? Thank you. I have a shirt for you. Look, it's not for you, but I'm wearing a shirt. It's a fun. There you go. That joke. This is for one person in this room. All of you don't understand what this is. So if I made an ad that references this show, right, it would not land on any of you. It would land on that guy. And he would fucking love it, but y'all would not understand. So that's relevance, right? You raise your hand for marketer as well? Yes. Boom. So I want you thinking about how can you not be that hyper relevant, right? How can you make content that's relevant to broader swaths that aren't just marketing, but they're broader things that relate to people, because people are multifaceted. If you're selling a B2B tool, right? You're still selling to humans. So focus on relevance, focus on making stuff that matters to people, and do it, make sure it's relevant quickly, obsess over the first frame, obsess over the first words.
Did you plant him there?
I did not, I do not know who that is.
What's your
We're
name?
Gonna get a nice
Hi.
handshake, though.
Hey, James.
You saved my life. That would have been a horrible.
Literally just one.
Yeah.
Well, you raised
Wow.
your hand too. Okay?
I did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to show.
Thank God.
So I don't have an advice for everyone, probably.
Do you have a cool T-shirt on?
No.
No.
So my advice probably for any kind of health and fitness or lifestyle apps, please start working with your users if you have some already, and choose the most emotional one. For a long time, for a long period of time, 3 years, we work with the one user, and she literally tell us only one phrase that work in our hooks for 3 years, and she say this app changed my life, and that's it. And we just add some bodies, but hook remained the same for 3 years. So please work with your users and try to choose the most emotional ones.
My take. Okay, who are marketers here again?
Almost everyone.
How many times have you heard in the last 3 years that AI is changing how marketers work? AI is the future. AI. Like over 10 times, over 100 times. Like I've been on the panel like this about the future of AI in 2022 after the ChatGPT release, and it was like all like it's going to change. Like my take for today, like it actually did. For the first time, it actually did. So you can actually like send your agents do stuff for you. It's extremely exciting. I know people who like touch it for the first time. They're lost for the next 4 weeks probably. Vibe coding till the 3 a.m. instead of watching TV shows. So like it's here, it's with us, it's driving revenue, it's fun. So go try that.
Amazing. So it is Q&A time. We love questions. Don't be shy. Otherwise, I will point to people in the room. But first question.
What are your favorite tools for creating cool videos?
Anybody? Go.
I'll say CapCut for you. I like CapCut. I like to rip stuff in Google Flow. I spend a lot of time in Google Flow, which if you don't know is Nano Banana and Veo. It's just kind of surprising to me how it's not as publicized feature or toy. Like people just think you can make this stuff in Gemini. I don't know. Google Flow, use it. It's awesome.
For us, it's mostly like foundational models because we build up our own MarTech platform. And it's Sora 2, Veo 3, and right now because of decision and Sora, looks like we shift to Seedance 2.0, so it's beautiful model.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to check out Seedance 2.0 yet, but it's amazing. Like, and I don't use that lightly. So
Better than Sora.
yeah, way better. And then. Not to plug TikTok or anything. So we do have an in-house tool called Symphony that is going to start using the Seedance technology as well. So that's one that I think a lot of our advertisers are using today and leveraging within their workflows. But I'm a big fan of Seedance 2.0.
And we're not generating video creatives yet ourselves, but for analysis, I would say of video, it's Gemini. And for analytics and everything, it's between Opus 4.6 and GPT 5.4, but that actually changes like twice a month, maybe twice a week. You've all heard it, that meme, like you're still using Opus 4.6? Like the state of the art has changed for the last like 3 hours ago. So.
I was going to say, that's just so 2 days ago of you. Any others? Again, we want the hard questions.
I don't know if it's hard, but keeping this context is my favorite resource on human psychology.
That's a tough one.
We don't all need to answer this one.
Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman.
I mean, hilariously, it's using AI now for that. But there is a book called Propaganda. I don't remember the author's name, but yeah, that one slaps. It's not a long read either.
It's a tough question, probably. I think that currently, because of like a lot of information, actually we as a marketers mostly think about like algorithms, what to do with like meta ads or what to do with TikTok ads, and there are some basic rules that like I don't know some of the marketers describe, but for me it's tough to think about any books right now because like I'm fully in like algo.
I would share like a personal use case story. I've started playing with OpenClaw. I've gave it access to all of my personal diaries and therapy sessions and all of that over the last like half a year. And it works amazingly well, like understanding me, my parts from the IFS, my like patterns and insights. And like I completely switched the like from manually writing things to just talking to it for diary, for updates, for like analysis. And that also actually works on the marketing side. A friend of mine is building a UX tool where you can upload a ton of user interviews or feedback or questions or like whatever. And the AI picks up really well like the psychology of those people just from the style, just from what they pay attention to and mention. And you can talk to like personas of different segments. So it's not like a persona on a mirror board now. It's a like almost real persona you can talk to and ask questions and check your hooks and ads against. So like it's a whole new world where you can model and simulate things. And like that's scary and exciting.
I was just going to say to that point, like, just talk to your customers. Like, I swear, it's shocking to me how much I have to tell people that are in marketing to do that don't do that. Like, read their, testimonials and reviews, sure, but like, literally go email them, call them, talk to them. Ask them how, ask them why, ask them what makes them tick. And then to your point, find a way to bulk automate that and learn from that at scale. Yeah.
I think we're out of time. Or are we out of time, or can we go one more?
I'll bring you a mic.
One
Yeah,
more
one-
question.
one more.
Thank you.
The best for last. Also, if you want to study psychology, just download Hinge or Tinder and try to have a couple conversations. Be very, very eye-opening for you.
Hi, I just want to say thank you for all the panelists. I really enjoyed the session. And I'm Jeannie. I'm working at Omicron Meeting Group. I'm currently leading analytics and measurements for L'Oreal portfolio. So we have a 9-figure budget. So I literally analyze tons of creatives, full funnel, and with social first strategy, TikTok being the most effective tools. So I guess my question is more of, because we're talking about creative, with all the AI and the technology, if we're thinking or from the perspective of AI generated content or video, for example, like for big brand like Maybelline, Garnier, we're still using real models, right? And except for particularly AI generated content, but we're not using real generated content. So what do you think of the future trends of AI generated video? Do you think that would impact the big brands like L'Oreal, Coca-Cola going to use like generated content to replace the real models? Because my big concern is I don't think customer or consumer will really like generated content because it's not that real. I mean, it's pretty real, but you can still tell. And I personally do not like generated content. So I just want to know the forecast of the next 5 years. What do you guys think the future creative trends for big companies?
Maybe I do not have an answer. First of all, thank you very much. It's a really interesting question. So I do not have an answer, but I have a story. So our user profile, it's probably female, like 55 plus. And we also trying to touch much younger audience. And we find out one of our static images contains people in different age groups with fruits that are kind of bigger than normal, much bigger than normal. So people from younger age groups, they're like probably comment nothing or just comment like this AI, it's AI stuff, and that's it. And people from 60 plus start gathering these people with these fruits like, oh wow, such a huge banana or something. And it's they really believe that it's true. So my point is that maybe tech still do not there, but probably in a few years, well, it just become commodity. Like everyone will use it, and it's be so real. So I think it's something that should happen.
I think one thing to keep in mind is you're coming from L'Oreal, right? You said. Yeah, it's a very different approach than probably a lot of other marketers out there. You have a lot of brand recognition, a lot of brand safety, a lot of hoops that you probably need to jump through, even with social in mind. 4 or 5 years from now, I wish I knew. I probably wouldn't be sitting on the stage here. I'd probably just be like reclusive and on an island somewhere by myself. But I do think that the general population will get closer and closer to that gap of usage of AI, especially for the net new generation. When I say net new generation, I don't mean like the new generation of people. I mean net new generation of AI usage. But I think that it's getting better and better each year. Even if you look at the difference between Sora and then what Ivan mentioned as CDance 2.0, the differences are pretty vast. And so if you start to stay close to those tools, you'll see the gap actually closing and closing. Almost to the point now where you look at some of the AI-generated content, like they're getting smart enough where they're putting the phone with someone with glasses, a little reflection on the lens, if you think about that. And so that's as good as it's getting. So 4 or 5 years, I truly believe that it's going to get there, but it might even be quicker.
I think we're there now. Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's a race. And I'm trying to be on both sides of this race, so I win no matter what. But there's a race between human authenticity, real humans making real stuff for real humans to consume, and humans. You all are humans, yeah. All of you humans like to consume content from real, authentic humans. There's a desire for authenticity. People crave it. Now, on the other hand, there's AI and people making ads that are trying to replicate authenticity. You're talking to a guy who tries to make AI-generated ads that look and feel and sound authentic. So I do both. And it's going to be a weird race and battle to see how much humans really care about real, authentic people. We're here in a room with other people. We're not online right now. We're here. So we do like human connection. We do like that we're getting content from real humans. We could all just have our AI avatars up here. I don't think any of you would give a shit. So, I think that's what we're up against is humans want to consume content from humans, but AI is going to get better and better and better at replicating humans. So I think we're already there now. I've made enough myself where I've put it out there, and if the person's not that close to the camera, it's pretty damn believable. Or if you lower the resolution and it looks like it's there's enough ways you can do it. So I think we're close. We're pretty much there now, and it's just a question of how far it goes. And I don't have a good answer for you. No one does, but it'll be fun to watch. And I'm betting on both sides.
I just said on top of that, have you seen a lot of AI or not quizzes? And in a lot of cases, people confuse real stuff with AI today. And in the end, it's feels like almost an existential crisis question. Do we need people
seriously
in ads anymore? But in the end of the day, whatever works. We'll live in the world where that is optimized by some grand scheme of things.
I would say I would just offer up a cautionary tale, and it's one of those things that we definitely can't say what's going to happen in 5 years because everything is cyclical, and we know right now AI is hot, but we do see with some of the younger generations that in some instances they are starting to have an aversion because it's not authentic, even if the AI can look authentic. So it's going to come down to probably in the future things like regulation and transparency. So do we say things are made with AI and then how to people react. We see this all the time. There's the, farm to table that trends. It's hot and then it goes away and everyone wants like something fancy and then it comes back. So I think it's one of those things that I would just say to brands, keep your eyes open, look at what is consumer sentiment, and be truthful and transparent.
I have to touch on that. The regulation thing is the other part of that. I'm so glad you called that out. There's also a race between the regulators and all the people who ignore all the regulators. Raise your hand if you're a black hat marketer. No, please don't. Don't raise your hand. I'm not a black hat marketer, but there's too many of them out there who just completely ignore those regulations anyway.
Awesome. So thanks everyone I know we went a little bit over. Hope you enjoyed the panel. We loved the questions and we loved seeing all of you. So I think it's now time to party.
Yes, yes.